This Michigan NASCAR 2024 weekend betting recap edition of the NASCAR Gambling Podcast here on the Sports Gambling Podcast Network is brought to you by Underdog Fantasy. Sign up with promo code RACESGPN to score up to $1,000 in bonus cash. We're also brought to you by Rhythm. Get your 7-day free trial today by going to sportsgamblingpodcast.com/RITHMN.
Driver, start your engine!
Strap in and pull those belts up tight as the Sports Gambling Podcast Network presents the NASCAR Gambling Podcast.
I'll wreck my mom to win a championship. I'll wreck your mom to win a championship.
With all the news and the best bets for your NASCAR weekend.
It refrains me from not beating the out of you right now because you ask me stupid questions. But since I'm on probation, I suppose that's improper to say as well. If you could talk about racing things, we could talk about racing things.
Now, here are your hosts, Rod Villagomez and Cody Zeeb.
Welcome in to another episode of the NASCAR Gambling Podcast here on the Sports Gambling Podcast Network. He's Cody Zeeb. I'm Rod Villagomez. Mother Nature tried to take it away, Cody, but we said, hell no, we're racing on Monday. It's a weekend of Michigan racing that, couldn't be contained in just one day.
Mother Nature just not a big fan of NASCAR, unfortunately, but it's all right. They got it in today, and we had us a race, so that is a good thing.
It is a good thing. However, how good of a thing, I suppose, will be left to the history books to figure it out. I do know that...
Rod, the 2024 NASCAR Cup Series champion, Tyler Reddick, looking nice and good atop the point standings. First time in his career to be leading the point standings for the record. So you like to see that as we come down to the home stretch here. Hopefully claim those 15 bonus points. It's going to help him get to Phoenix and cash all of our futures. That's the exciting thing I'm taking out of this weekend.
Hey, listen, there is no denying that through everything, right? Through all the strategy, through all the mess, through all the nonsense, through all the overtimes, it was definitely Tyler Reddick that had the best car at the end of it. And so, I mean, see, Cody, that's what you have to do through the entire season. You have to make those right strategy calls. You have to outlast all of that madness in order to be the last driver standing at the top of the chart. So, in a way, this was probably the biggest case to be made for him being actually the regular season champion and the 2024 champion at that too. Yeah,
let's hope he can do both. Derek checking in, lost money. Ross spun LMAO. I'm pretty sure Derek bets on Ross every single week, and he that was an interesting wreck because it was like, is he gonna? Oh, there he goes. Like he almost caught it. Like so you're like, there he goes.
That's like when you're on like the go-kart races at putt golfs and you get squirrely and you're like, oh, I saved it, and then all of a sudden someone comes up behind you and taps you and you lose it again.
You're gone.
Oh, never mind. That's where it's gone. But look, for as crazy as this last Sunday/Monday's race was, Saturday's was super exciting. We got what we wanted, Cody. That was a super speedway race on Michigan.
We got a super speedway race on Michigan, which is exactly what we thought it was going to be. Yeah, not a ton of the bets cashed, although Fast Pasta took care of us there at the end, which was very nice. But it was exactly what we thought it was going to be, which I appreciate being right about that because, you go in and you make a call like that, and it's like, well, this could be a super speedway race. It could not be. And it really, it did look like in Atlanta for the most part, which is exactly kind of what we thought it would be. So we were spot on for that part of it and didn't quite get as much chaos as usually you kind of do in super speedway races. But, you get that late caution and they rack it up and that took care of things. So almost didn't. Luckily, they got those last couple laps in after a bit of rain there. But Mother Nature tried to ruin our Fast Pasta top 5, but she couldn't be stopped from that delicious pasta.
Mother Nature's a fan of pasta, especially fast pasta. But yeah, that was a lot of fun. We're definitely going to hear to recap all of that action. But let me tell you first that everything in the merch store right now, this very second, 10% off with promo code football. Football's back, folks. Football's back, and you want something from the merch store. I know that Cody's got behind him a couple of mugs that we've got. We both have T-shirts that we like. We both have sweatshirts that we like. That beautiful, one of a kind, actually, NASCAR Gambling Podcast, because now it's a racing gambling podcast one. So you can still get your racing gambling podcast mug out there. Get a hoodie, get shirts from all your favorite shows, and love that. 10% off, promo code football plus college football kicks off this week. Tune into Sports Gambling Podcast on the college football experience for week 0 picks and all your favorite futures. Just bet Army down the line and Fresno State down the line. Thank me later and have some fun with that. Go Army, beat Navy.
Go Navy, beat Army.
Brother saying, finally caught you guys on time. Missed most of the race, though. YouTube TV didn't update the schedule, so it didn't record. I know I had to record Law and Order SVU in order to catch the rest of the race at home. My daughter this morning, I'm loading up on recording all these Law and Orders. She goes, Dad, why are you recording Law and Order so much? What's the sudden interest in the show?
You don't watch Law and Order all the time? Law and Order is a great show, Rod.
I was like, babe, I got to know the law and the order of it all. What do you think?
Yeah, that is the one weird thing about having those. Luckily, Hulu, because I have it set to record all the NASCAR stuff, and it did change the programming today on the Hulu Live. But yeah, sometimes if it bleeds over late and stuff, you're gonna miss it. So that's
my biggest complaint is when it says continuing coverage on. So they break away from USA or NBC to go to USA.
Yeah, because. Yeah, then you're screwed because I've done it before where I'll record I usually just record the program after just in case it runs over. But yeah, if they flip channels on you, you have to wait till the race comes out on YouTube a few days later.
I can't anticipate it either. I'm like, I don't know. I don't know what I don't know, damn it. So, but we did know, of course, that this race was actually going to start on Sunday. We did know that it was going to be on Monday. Sunday, though, very inauspicious start, to be honest with you. It was racy. It was great. It was fun until it ended. So those first 50 laps on Sunday ended up being pretty damn good, in my opinion, and almost better than the 100 and some odd that followed this today. So I wish we would have gotten the rest of the race in.
Well, there was a lot of strategy because it was kind of to the point where we didn't exactly know where we were racing to, right? Are we racing a full 400-mile race, or are we trying to get to the end of stage 2 to that 200-mile point? And so trying to put yourself in position differently at the end of the first stage than you would planning for a full 400-mile race, because the teams, I think at that point, you have to be prepared to get to halfway and then potentially it changes. So it really did kind of, change up the strategy and stuff in that first day, I guess, of the race, in that first portion that we got. And you saw some different strategies, and points racing obviously has become a big thing as we come down with now just 2 races to go. The points sit where they sit. We also have the looming Austin Dillon penalty review, which could change how the points sit as well. So you had the, Bubba Wallace, does he stay out and win that stage? Instead he pits, but then he comes back, finishes 4th, still gets a lot of points, has a solid day from that aspect of things. So it was a pretty entertaining first day of the race.
And I mean, look, there was a lot of stuff that happened on day 2 of the 24 hours of Le Mans that actually provided
24 hours of Michigan.
24 hours of Michigan. But again, this was I think the first 50 some odd laps were probably the best out there. However, they encapsulated moments like Denny Hamlin sliding by himself on lap 39. Holy cow, Cody.
There was a lot of wrecking by yourself by some talented drivers and some not as talented drivers as you may. But yeah, I mean, Denny Hamlin just losing it. I mean, it shows you, I think, because with Auto Club gone, Michigan is the fastest track on the circuit now. It's Daytona, Talladega, they're fast, but we're also capped, right? They don't have a restrictor plate anymore, but it's still capped on the horsepower. It's capped on how far you can go. But this type of track, you're pushing the edge of it. Then you add in those 30-mile-an-hour wind gusts they were getting, and I think we saw that with the Corey LaJoie flip today. where that extra portion of wind, I saw a couple of like meteorologists on X and stuff that were, explaining how that extra 30-mile-an-hour wind is basically another 30 miles an hour of force. So now instead of 205 miles, you're going 235 miles an hour. And that just puts the car on the edge, which is great. I think that provides good racing. We didn't really have any points in this race that I can remember. And I was a little bit in and out today. Obviously, I was at work, like I'm sure many people were, trying to watch as much as I could while still getting my job done, right? But there was never any parts where we just had like guys running away with it and big leads, which has kind of been the theme on the mile and a half. It's kind of, and this is a mile and a half, but same package, same style of racing. But that's really been the thing where throughout the race, you kind of have different points and parts where different people look good and strong, and they get up front and look good. Then they get mired back in traffic and don't look as good. And we got a lot of that throughout the weekend of racing in the Cup Series, and that was nice to see.
Well, and really what was the best part of it all was when we did get re-racked, there was a lot of raciness to start out with. And then kind of like you said, I mean, things would get strung out a little bit, but then we'd have to play another strategy game, right? We'd have to play who's going to pit first or who's going to pit next or who's going to come in for fresh tires. Is that going to make a difference? Can you get your lap back? Of course, all that happened today. The end of yesterday actually just ended with Blaney and all them coming in to pit after staying out and winning stage one. And then they were like, oh, by the way, it's a red flag. So unfortunately, that didn't help. But we saw some things, Cody, that we haven't seen in a very long time. We saw Kyle Busch be very strong over the course of the race. We saw Bubba Wallace very strong over the course of the race.
Martin Truex Jr. checked out of retirement for a couple minutes.
For a minute or two, then realized, oh, wait a second, I'm actually retiring. I'm done. So, yeah, I mean, again, this particular race still had some good moments to it, even though, in my opinion, I just wish we would have gotten the rest of the race on Sunday, because this race, for as good as it was today, I think if we'd have kept the conditions yesterday, it would have been a lot better.
Yeah, it always sucks to split races in half, because like today, it felt like it was like all of a sudden, shit, there's only 20 laps left. Like, where'd the race go? Like, it was just gone, because obviously you're going a lot less distance because you've already knocked some of it out the day before, and it throws such a wrench into kind of the flow of things and how things are going. Then you shut them off for a day and you come back, and I don't love doing it. Obviously, got to do what you got to do to get the race in, and shout out to NASCAR for that. But yeah, it does definitely take some wind out of the sails for sure.
And this definitely was a bigger strategy day than I think we've seen in a long time. This was a lot of strategy that went into this, and a lot of folks on a completely different schedule from the person in front of them and behind them, frankly. So a lot of stuff to play out. So great race. We'll break down all of our bets, but before we do, I would like to give this opportunity to tell you about Underdog Fantasy. Underdog Fantasy Pick'em gives you a chance to win 1,000 times entry or play fantasy football the right way with Best Ball Mania. It's live now with $15 million in prizes. Plus, you can now use specials and boosts on all flex entries. Ladies and gentlemen, NFL Week 1 is up on Underdog Pick'em. Derrick Henry taking on the Kansas City Chiefs for the first time as a Baltimore Raven. Holy hell. The triple option team in Baltimore with the running back like Derrick Henry, they've got his rushing yards set at 71.5. Hammer the higher. Derrick Henry going to run for 600 yards. Already lead the league in rushing for the next 7 weeks in that first game against the Kansas City Chiefs. So lock that in. Give me Derrick Henry higher than 71.5 rushing yards for my pick. So go sign up now with promo code RACESGPN to claim your special pick and first time deposit offer up to $1,000 in bonus cash. I'm so used to saying $250. Now it's $1,000 in bonus cash. UnderdogFantasy.com, promo code RACESGPN. Circa Sports is back with Circa Survivor and Circa Millions, giving away $16 million in guaranteed prizes. Imagine the regret you're going to feel if you win your office pool, your office survivor pool, but you didn't even bother to enter the Circa Survivor. Don't do that for yourself. Give yourself a pat on the back for doing it when it's all said and done. Don't have a trip booked for Las Vegas yet before football? Ultimate Contest Weekend is a great time to go out and hang with Ryan and Sean and enjoy some of the open bar events at the greatest sportsbook in the world, August 22nd through August the 24th. Use promo code SGP15 to save 15% on your hotel room or sign up weekend. Sign up in person at Circa Sports between now and September 7th. Use a proxy to play from anywhere. We even have a deal with a proxy. Go to proxy.footballcontest.com to save you $50 with promo code SGP and a free hat. Hat like that, you get a free bowl of soup. 50 points to anybody who got that reference there at the end.
Damn it, I didn't get any points. But your brother checking in and saying that the Chiefs defense will shut him down, Rod. We'll save that for the NFL show. You're wrong. I'm notorious. Nobody's going to be shutting down King Henry this year. Better get him in your fantasy drafts. He's going to be a beast.
I did. I got him in our last draft.
Oh, did you?
I did.
I think I have 6 slow drafts going on currently, Rod. It's a lot to keep up with.
No,
I've gotten him in some leagues. I haven't got him in some other leagues. Shit happens.
All I know is that auction league, I'm not going to go. I'm going to throw him out there to let everybody else kind of get crazy with it for that. So
there you go.
All right. We had bets for this weekend of racing. So we'll cover the Cup Series first, since it's literally fresh in our mind. Normally we're like, oh, it's fresh in our mind on a Monday. No, this is fresh in our mind. It just happened. So
very fresh, Rod. Very fresh.
Yeah. All right, Cody, where we go?
Yeah, I kicked it off on the wrong side of this head-to-head, although ended up being closer at the end than it looked like it was going to be for a little while. I had Noah Gragson over Carson Hocevar minus 115. Again, this wasn't anything against Hocevar. Thought he was going to have a fine day. Thought he was going to be solid. But he once again gets a fucking top 10 on a Spire car. Like, my God, Carson Hocevar is just showing up and getting shit done. You love to see it. I'm really more and more hoping that they slide him into the 7 car next year, or slide Childers to the 77 car and pair those two up, because I think that could be a dangerous pairing going forward. But I had Noah Gragson over him. SHR cars just looked fucking slow. I mean, Josh Berry was getting lapped like 4 laps into the race on a 2-mile track, which is never a good sign in general, but they just had a rough day, and Gragson just looked slow, Rod. He ends up turning out okay with a 12th place finish. That really, I mean, if you'd have told me going into the race, Gragson finishes in 12th, I would have taken him over Carson Hocevar. Again, nothing against Hocevar, but I just thought the Gragson was going to be the better car, and had a decent day. But Hocevar once again shows up, gets it done at his home track. So bright future for that kid. But yeah, SHR lacking in general. Gragson, decent finish. Definitely didn't run that well throughout the day. SHR, for as good as Ford's been at this track, which, we'll get into in a few, they snapped the win streak, right, of Ford winning here. But yeah, they just, those SHR cars, all of them looked really slow.
I mean, you can also think that finish to the end there where Elliott and Blaney got into each other, kind of stacked everything up. So.
The overtimes sort, which something we haven't talked about, the Martin Truex Jr. Why is that a caution flag, right?
Oh gosh, no. We are not going to get into that, because
we're not even going to go down that road, because it's one of those things where it's like they know what they're doing there, and I get it. If actually it flipped to me, it saved me a little bit in DFS. I went from not winning very much money and dead last in my year-long DFS contest to making a few dollars and moving up in that contest. But why are we throwing caution flags for stuff like that? I mean, we've been on both sides of it where it's helped your bets, it's hurt your bets. It didn't really change too much on our card today, I don't think. But it was, yeah, he hit the wall decently, but his tires were up. He was still going. He was never crooked. We're just the manufacturer drama at points. It can be rough.
The only reason that I can see that they would have thrown that caution flag was because of the fact that he was, after he tapped the wall, he seemed to be kind of submarining straight toward the 8 car. And they were anticipating something happening. But Cody, there is no reason whatsoever.
We need a camera like in the booth, because like at this point we're on a pretty good green flag run, right? So we'd gone through the full range of pit stops and everybody cycles out and stuff. So like, you got to think the guy with the buttons just sitting there. Like, is that his only job? Is he just the button guy? Like, is he just sitting there and all of a sudden it's like, oh, the 19th law, he's just like, oh, hammers the button, and you're like, oh shit, caution. And then it's like, oh, damn it, that wasn't supposed to be a caution. So Rod's camera going crazy over there. But yeah, and JDK says, let's all remember preseason a caution at Pocono. And yeah, so it's like, what is a caution, what isn't? And I sort of think that maybe that shouldn't have necessarily been one at that point in time, but this one just it was another. Sorry to get sidetracked from the bets, but it was just like, come on, what are we doing?
Listen, that actually was an important part of the bets because it did make a couple of these actually happen. So, granted, yeah, this helped our bets, a couple of them, but at the same time, it's just that was not a caution. I wish there was a challenge flag on a caution and that whoever is in charge of the button gets thrown out and they put somebody else in. Like, that's all I ask. So, and then tell us, who's in charge of the button. Please tell me.
Well, I mean, like we're embedded in live with the pit crews here in stage 2. Let's be embedded in live with the caution button guy in stage 3 and see his thought process on what's going on up in the booth there.
Caution button, Cam. I want to know, is it like one of those things that's like under a hood that you have to like flip open and press, or is it like
it's just like right there on the table?
It's like a hearing aid or a hearing test.
Like
right?
was it Jeopardy where you got to hit the thing really fast or whatever?
Yeah,
so it's like just boom, boom. It's like a big Staples button too. You know it is. Like
easy.
It's not just like a little tiny. It's a big easy button and you just push it. But anyways, easy. Rod, you want to tell us more about this sophomore slump that we talked about earlier this week?
I do, but I also want to tell you that if you've been in the military, you know that little hearing test thing. That's what it is. He thinks he hears a noise.
Yeah.
All right.
You never hear any noises. You just push the button and hope you're close.
I'm still not willing to admit that the sophomore.
I think I just heard a noise from that machine right now, and I don't even know what it is.
They're like, you kept pushing the button when you hear a noise. I always hear a noise. It's called tinnitus. I am not willing to admit the sophomore slump is over. This race should not have played out the way it did for Ty Gibbs. I don't know how on God's green earth. I mean, look, I don't know how he ended up finishing third in this race. There was some severe strategy.
Erica, close your ears, Erica. Chris Gabehart made some good calls on the pit box.
He did.
Got him up there.
He did. His car was not that way. He started 19th, and he was looking like he was going to run there for a better part of the day. He was one of the biggest recipients or the biggest beneficiaries of what happened this split race, right? He had so many calls that were made that were ridiculous. Now, the reason we're talking about him is because I took Bubba Wallace over Ty Gibbs. On Sunday, that looked like a fantastic bet. That looked like a bet that was going to cash. Bubba Wallace up in the lead, like up in the lead cars, the lead pack, taking the lead on a fantastic move. Holy hell, Wallace split the freaking, or he didn't split him, but he drove right between or right underneath them and took the lead. I mean, that's Bubba knowing that he needed to put his foot on the gas. This was going to be his best shot to actually win the race or at least score all the points that he could. But he was victim of the number 5 car pulling a Denny Hamlin and getting loose and just sending it. I almost thought he escaped without damage, but unfortunately that 23 car took too much damage, just tooled around. We know Ty Gibbs finished third. Bubba Wallace ended up finishing 26th. It's funny because Nick Fortune texted me early in the morning and he was like, hey, I got these head-to-heads. What do you think? And I said, yeah, I'm taking Bubba over Ty. And he was like, yeah, but I don't trust Bubba. And I was like, yeah, that's true. And then for the first day of the race, I was like, shh, come on now.
He looked fast. I mean, in 2311 looked really good. Obviously, Tyler gets the win. But yeah, Bubba had a race-winning type of car. Wrong place at the wrong time. Unfortunately, that happens and caused damage. But I don't think you were necessarily wrong in this. I brought Gibbs up on the DFS episode. Glad I did that because obviously he had a stellar day over in DFS with that third place finish. But yeah, I don't think you were necessarily wrong in this one. Sometimes that's just how the cookie crumbles, Rod.
Well, I hate that cookie. I want to return it.
I would never return any cookies. Thank you.
That is true. All right. What was the next bet on the page?
I had Noah Gragson top 10 plus 450. We just talked about him. You know, a 12th place finish. You almost kind of lucked into cash in this one. It really wasn't a bet that should have cashed throughout the day. So unfortunate there. I mean, all the trends had pointed towards you should bet on Gragson here. I think we're maybe getting closer to the part of the season where we're going to have to start questioning SHR a little more, right? Probably not pulling in a bunch of extra stuff at this point in time. And and we're kind of running, we're not buying new parts and shit like that. I don't know how much that's going to affect them down the stretch. We've seen both ends of that, right? Where some teams go out really strong. We saw with Grant Enfinger last year in the trucks. Like, that team was dissolving, but they finished the season on fire, and he had a chance at the championship there at the end and everything. But maybe, at least from what we saw today and yesterday, some question marks being raised over there about SHR. So going to want to keep an eye on that. Also had Todd Gilliland at 7-1. He was caught up in the very first wreck on the day, with Larson and Bell and those guys. So his day was kind of shot there. Man, it's so hard to know, like, where he maybe would have been, where he would have ended up being. I mean, that was still early enough that I don't feel like we had seen a ton, and I don't really remember where he was running at that point. I mean, McDowell finished in 19th. You assume that he's going to be better than McDowell most weeks. So I feel like this one maybe would have been a top 15 car probably, and that's what you're looking for out of Gilliland, hoping that he could squeeze in at the end with that overtime chaos. You get the overtime chaos, maybe he's like Hocevar, slides into the top 10 there, but not to be after getting caught up in that early wreck.
Yeah, that and obviously him blowing a right rear in turn 3 did not help his day out either. Yeah, I mean, what could have been, shoulda, woulda, coulda. However, I will say that Hocevar, top 10, plus 450. Let's go, Carson Hocevar, 77 car. I almost thought this was screwed at the end when Elliott and Blaney and all those guys kind of slowed that lane up, checked that lane up. He was on the outside on the last restart. That outside lane checked up, and I was like, God, because he was like sitting right outside. I think he was in 10th place. He restarted 10th, and then that line checked up, and I was like, that's it. There goes that. And I wanted to throw my foam rubber thing at the TV because it was ridiculous. But he managed to kind of get his way back up there and found his way into a top 10. Carson Hocevar didn't kind of luck into this. He had the right strategy calls as well. He was running with the.
It was strong. Like, man, I'm telling you, he's found something over there. He is a very, very good young driver.
Yeah. So keep your eyes out for him. I think if his top 10 number continues to stay at 450 or in the 400, hell, even 350 or something like that, you still want to kind of look into that because like you said, Cody, if he gets with the right crew chief, he gets with Childress next year, this could very much be a very big year for the 7 car, maybe.
Either one. I just pair them together. I don't care which car they're in.
For a version of the 7 car, for sure. All right, we'll get to more of our bets, but first let me tell you about For Rhythm. For Rhythm? No, football season is here. And college football and NFL models are now live on Rhythm. Create your own winning betting model or let Rhythm do the heavy lifting for you. You decide what stats matter to you. Rhythm's going to build a custom model around that, or as we said before, just let Rhythm and his predictive model do the heavy lifting. Rhythm uses AI projections from MIT data scientists, and Rhythm already has you covered for NFL Week 1 and college NFL Week 0. Go claim that 7-day free trial today by going to sportsgamblingpodcast.com/rhythm. That's sportsgamblingpodcast.com/RITHMM. All right, it is time for football season. That means that you can go buy your favorite team's football tickets, and you can do it without the stress by using Game Time. I know you hate buying tickets. I hate buying tickets. It's not a fun experience anymore. It's not like the days where you can just walk up to a counter and say, 1 ticket, please. No, because every place has got an app that you got to use to buy the tickets. And then they charge you 6 times what you're actually paying for the ticket. And then they charge you a fee to walk through the door. And then they charge you a fee to look at your tickets on your phone. Stop it. Stop all of that. Just download Game Time. Game Time takes away all the stress. You get the Game Time guarantee. That means all the tickets that you buy are going to be authentic. You're going to get lower fees, better prices. It's made for your phone, so you don't have to finagle with anything. No emailing you tickets. You have to open up a completely different app or at least chisel them in stone. I don't care what you got to do. But anyways, make sure you take full advantage of Game Time and their stress-free action. Take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app. Create an account. Use code SGPN for $20 off of your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account, redeem code SGPN for $20 off. Download the Game Time app today. Last minute tickets, lowest price, guaranteed. Those people wanting to buy tickets for Monday's part of the race was actually benefited from that, I'm sure.
Sure. We'll go with that.
Okay. Check in one more time with the chat. My brother saying, I'm in the market for a new driver. Always had a soft spot for Reddick. I wonder if I shouldn't go ahead. Pull the trigger before he wins a title. Might be out of the running.
If you want to pick a driver that's going to have a very long, strong career from now on, Tyler Reddick or Ty Gibbs would be your best two choices. These two guys, I've been singing the Reddick praises for a long time. He is that next guy, and I think everybody's starting to realize that as we continue to see this string of podiums he's put together, leading the points now, getting these wins. This team is putting things together. 23-11 is just going to continue to get stronger. Tyler Reddick is the real deal, and I'd love to see it. So I'd hurry up and get all your 45 gear ordered quickly if you want it. Nick Fortune checking in. Good afternoon, Hot Rod and Sir Cody. I ordered the Michigan Special, and that was a swift kick in the nuts. Bad bets for the Cup Series. Already made my money back. Nick Fortune's betting on some little girl's soccer in some strange country or something like that. But hey, whatever you're good at, shout out to you, Nick.
I love those sports. What are you talking about? That's ESPN Ocho material. Speaking of that, I was watching the Ocho today, or not today, but this weekend, actually, Saturday. And they were showing slippery slime climbing, and that was the event. I was like, if there were odds on that, I would bet on that. There would be a slippery slide podcast.
Absolutely, that would be great.
But we're at the NASCAR
for now.
show, so what do we got?
We'll stick to the NASCAR betting, Rod. Eric Jones had a little small car lift with Eric Jones. He ended up staying out long on that last run, kind of hoping to catch a caution, but didn't quite work out for him. He did, however, cash our under 18.5, minus 140. Was juiced up, finished in 16th place. I think it was, 5 out of the last 6 he had done it or something like that. This makes it 6 out of 7 if that was the number. Gets it done once again. Hometown kid shows up and he's good here. Go ahead and tuck that Eric Jones in your pocket. We're going to pull him back out in 2 weeks at Darlington. I need to stop saying that I'm going to bet on guys in multiple weeks and then getting to that week and getting away from it like I did with Tyler Reddick this week, Rod. But that's okay. I'm learning myself as we go along here. Eric Jones did catch the under 18.5. Had the top 10 at plus 450. Obviously, that doesn't hit, but 16th place, plus 450. You'll take that. He's close enough in the mix, especially with the chaos he got there at the end. Top Toyota at 65-1. I mean, look, he beat Truex. He beat Christopher Bell. Beat Bubba Wallace. So you had a couple more guys that have some issues. Obviously, Reddick and Gibbs end up in first and third, but Hamlin's returned to 9th place quietly, but he had his own fair share of problems. So I think that shots like that, kind of if you have a guy in mind, long shots like that, basically a small group, continue to be worth it. Don't always hit, obviously. It's a 65-1. Not how it works, but I think it could come through enough that it might be worth continuing to look at that market.
Very, very possible that happens. One market I'm stopping from now on. I should have stopped a long time ago. This is Joey Logano. Cody's been trying to tell me for 3 years.
Every once in a while I'll pull it out and I'll try it. I tried it. I don't remember what race it was. A few weeks ago, I was all in, and he just shat the bed. And you just don't know what you're gonna get with Joey Logano, Rod. There seems to be no rhyme or reason to it either. Like I've looked and I'm like, okay, well, is it short tracks where he is definitely better at short tracks, but it still has his own handful of problems there. And it's like, just cannot fucking put a finger on this guy and figure him out.
Nope. I had him as a top 5 car. He wasn't even a top 5 car when the strategy was putting him in top 5. Like there was no.
Didn't he get caught up? He was caught up in that Larson wreck.
There was a couple of things that happened to him. Yeah, he got caught up in that Larson wreck. Plus, he also blew a tire. That weird tire blow that he had from 14th when he was in 14th place again. And then he got a penalty because he was too fast. I mean, there was a million things that went wrong on Joey Logano's day. He was not ever going to be a top 5 car, I don't think, even if he would not have gotten caught up in Larson's wreck, because frankly, he just wasn't there. He wasn't as fast as the Reddicks and the Bushes and the Gibbses on the day. So Joey Logano, sorry, but I'm done. Even on, if you guys want to bet Joey Logano, that is fine. You have my full support. However, I'm not ever going to suggest it for the rest of the season.
Yeah, it's just, man, he really is the hardest guy in the garage. There's just so much variance, and it's not like Larson, which we'll talk about in a minute. He's got variance, right? But he's going to at least be good. I mean, he led the most laps on the day. Yeah, he had a shift finish. You're going to get that. But with Logano, like, he could either be the fastest car or he could be battling Corey LaJoie for 32nd place, and neither one is really that surprising. And you're just like, it's so difficult to figure him out. So
and Corey LaJoie would be on his hood too while he's racing Logano at the end of that.
How do you flip by yourself, Rod? R.I.P. Corey LaJoie. But next up for me, I had Bubba Wallace top 10 at plus 110. This obviously was looking like a steal with as fast as he was. Gets caught up in the wreck. We already kind of talked about him. Then I had Tyler Reddick top 5 plus 125. I told you, Rod, I wanted to bet him outright. I had him on the fucking card. I couldn't do it because Kyle Larson's number was too big, which we'll talk about in a minute. So I took that off, but I had to get in on Reddick. He's been so consistent lately. The consistency stayed up. This was looking in the first overtime like a great bet because William Byron was going to get him, and it was going to be like he didn't get it done again, but he cashed that top 5. Obviously, he wins. Either way, you cash the bet, which is nice. I did pick him in my one-and-done pools as well. So good week for that. That paid off nicely. But yeah, Tyler Reddick top 5 at plus 125. It does cash.
If a driver finishes in 6th, do they cash a top 5 bet by sheer?
It depends. Does somebody in front of them get disqualified? Because then it's like a really hard, complicated answer depending on which book you place the bet.
All right, well, for the sake of this, no. Chris Buescher, top 5 finish, plus 275. Damn it, he finished 6th. And I'm telling you, he should not have finised 6th. So the fact he was even this close.
Somebody said it. Who said it earlier in the chat? Somebody. Oh yeah, it was morning news music. Fast Pasa and Buescher today just hit the turbo button in overtime. Like all of a sudden you look up and you're like, Chris Buescher, where'd he come from? What the like guy was not good at all the whole weekend. And then suddenly he's in 6th place at the end of the race. And you're like, okay, welcome to the show, buddy.
Well, Buescher got caught up in a little bit of shrapnel, and then he had his own problems on pit. I mean, it's thing after thing after thing kept happening to that 17 car, but he just stayed where he needed to stay and be where he needed to be. And then that last,
was he one of the fresh tires on before the first overtime?
Yeah, and not just that too, but like he benefited from when the outside line backed up too, because he was on the inside, so he was able to get past a lot of that as well.
Collusion. Kozlowski held up the outside line for. Do we need to see if they were like rolled bread, some code word, and then he like slowed way down, and Chris Buescher squeaks in by 2 points to the playoffs. Now we have to expand the playoffs and add Jeff Gordon again. It's crazy.
So what's funny with that? I want you to guess, Cody, where Brad Kozlowski finished.
Oof. He fell back pretty. Was he like 12th, 13th?
No, he finished 5th.
Oh, did he really? I thought he slowed down so much. I thought it was farther than that. So I guess
finished
Kozlowski and Buescher back to back. Wow. Color me shocked, Rod.
Did we say this though?
Surprising.
We called this that this was going to happen.
Well, it's not that hard to call something that happens every fucking week.
This is true.
But yeah, so you were close on this. Debatable if it was a good call or not, just because it was like, but I took Ford to win plus 220. I mean, look, they won 9 in a row, so you kind of couldn't not take them. If you'd have told me at the end of the day Ryan Preece was going to be the 3rd best Ford, I might have reconsidered that. But did they ever really have a chance to win this? Probably not. I mean, Kozlowski lining up 4th in overtime there. I thought we were going to get some shades of Austin Dillon. He wants to win at this track more than anywhere else, but he forgot to shift or something on the restart. It sounds like they had some type of issue that was throughout the day on restarts. I don't know what the problem was there, but I don't know that Ford really ever had a chance. I mean, Blaney was fast at one point, which he kind of is every week, but I think he got caught up in that Larson wreck. Did he get a pice of the Larson wreck as well?
No, he didn't get a piece of the Larson wreck. He actually, I'm looking at, so he stayed out at 137. Did Blaney? It was just pit strategy for Blaney. That's really what it ended up being. And plus, then
obviously at the end of the day, him and Elliott got together, and because Blaney was like top 5, I think, on those last restarts. So, but I don't know if Ford was ever going to win. But 9 in a row, like you couldn't not bet this, just because it never seemed like they were going to pull it out, and then they kept doing it, and so you had to get there. But obviously, it doesn't cash, so unfortunate there.
Indeed. Well, my winning car number streak is, I mean, it's taken some hits lately. Let's just put it the nicely way. I had under 19.
That has most of our cups here. I really hope you're listening to these other series podcasts as we go through the week, because it's been, man, it just like we continue to be right on a lot of things in the Cup Series and catch bad breaks. It seems like, I don't know, we're due to we've been like Hendrick, we're testing out some stuff here, and as we get to the playoffs here, we're about to flip that switch, Rod, start cashing a bunch of bets. But
Hey,
Xfinity and Trucks has been where it's at lately.
We've told people from the start that this is more educated. We want you to think about what you're doing. We're going to give you what we like, and we're going to give you the buffet, but we also want you to think about it too. If you don't think we're right, then don't use our bets, but use what we're talking
Nick
about.
Fortune, if you think you should fade Kyle Larson, then fade him.
Then fade him. Continue to fade him. But I'm just saying, we're trying to teach you how to be bettors as well. We're not trying to just give you the picks. So that's why we talk all this stuff through, is that way at the end of the day, you're armed with knowledge and not just a bunch of picks that when you come back, go, oh, you told me to pick this. Yeah, we told you why. If you didn't agree with the reasoning, then don't do it. All right.
All right, Rod. You did your winning car number, right? So yeah, outrights. I had Kyle Larson 7-1 over FanDuel. Look, if they're going to give us Kyle Larson at numbers like this on tracks where he should be good, I think it would be irresponsible to not take him. When you bet on Kyle Larson, and we've said this a million times, you're going to get one of two things, right? He's going to be the best car and he's going to win, or he's going to be the best car and he's going to wreck because he pushes too hard. There is no, and I think this is something Tyler Reddick has learned to do really well this season, is you can't be at 110% all the time. You have to cut back and go to 90% sometimes for the good of the long run, right? And Larson just doesn't have an off button. It is pedal to the metal all the time, and he's really fast, he's really good, he's really talented, but he just over pushes it sometimes. We saw that yet again today, unfortunately. This was the fastest car on the day, though, led the most laps in the race, 7-1. I'm not going to be sad about having Kyle Larson there, so that's how it goes. Keselowski at 13-1, obviously finishes fifth, top four there at the end. He had a shot, right? That's what you're asking for. Bubba Wallace, 25-1. This looked like a great bet, especially yesterday. He was fast. He looked good. Got caught up in a wreck. Shit's going to happen like that. I tossed out Gragson at 150-1. This obviously had no shot, as we talked about him earlier, but it was 150-1, so it is what it is. I don't think Scotty Scheffler won in golf, so that wouldn't have mattered on the Kyle Larson parlay. But, well, actually, yeah, I have no idea, but I'm pretty sure he didn't.
Was Happy Gilmore on the card? Because if Happy Gilmore was on the card, he didn't win. Happy Gilmore wins it all. Every time. Always.
It was that again. You're taking the two best, and that's why I was messaging with our guy Steve Shermer over on the Golf Gambling Podcast. Make sure you check those guys out. Steve, big NASCAR fan too. I was like, dude, it's the two best guys in the world. Like, they're not going to win every weekend. We get that, right? But you get a chance at them at almost 30-1. Toss a little bit on there. Doesn't hit, but that's how it goes.
Well, if the race were to have been official at the end of stage one, I'd have won. Ryan Blaney would have cashed this to $850 ticket, but didn't. Like we talked about earlier, just he was on a way different strategy than most everybody else. And while that ended at stage one, right, I don't know if he'd have had the car to hold with everybody else by the end of the race, but I would have liked to have seen it. And then, of course, with Elliott tapping into him at the end of the race, that took away any hope of anything. So Ryan Blaney did not win this race. But we're happy that Tyler Reddick did. We're happy that it ended up being a pretty decent race. But Cody, let's talk about the race that was the best race, in my opinion, of the weekend. That was the Xfinity race, the Super Speedway at Michigan. I think, Cody, NASCAR got what they were hoping for out of this package on Michigan.
Yeah, I really think that they did. And, it was a good race. It was exciting. The weather obviously played parts in it as we kind of kept having to stop for that. We end up getting to, I think this race went to overtime as well. And had the craziness that is in overtime in the Xfinity Series. But, it was overall, it delivered, and it was just like we thought it was going to be, a super speedway, just like we're about to tell you next week at Daytona. You take it light, you take it easy, you sprinkle around, you look for long shots. We got extra big long shots that we're not going to get this coming weekend. I can promise you that. That's kind of how it went. Justin Allgaier obviously gets the win. Sheldon Creed sets the record, Rod. 11 second place finishes. Hopefully you have those championship bets placed, because there's no way he's not going to be the champion at this point in time. I don't think. It's lining up so well for him to just walk it off with his first Xfinity win.
So many. Just I wish, again, I really wish that we would get Quinellas on Xfinity, because then at least I would have
You just pair everybody. You just bet every single person in the field with Sheldon Creed, and you're gonna hit it, right?
You're gonna hit something. Yeah. I mean, I'm excited because Justin Allgaier got the win, but I had no part of Allgaier. I mean, I told you guys that I was gonna lay off of him. And yes, guess what? I laid off of him and he won. So can I get back on him again, please?
Not if you want him to keep winning, Rod.
That's true. I might as well just stop saying anything good about him for the rest of it. But no, this was a frustrating day for bets too, because most of them didn't hit. But I thought the racing was great and our logic was sound, and some of these had an opportunity.
And that's how super speedways go. We're about to go to Daytona this weekend, so be ready for this to be how it goes. I mean, it's just, there's craziness, there's chaos. You hope that the chaos falls your way. It might not. That's why we play super speedways differently. That's why we chose to do so here. Started off with a head, though. Sammy Smith over Carson Kvapil, minus 125. Look, Kvapil looked really good throughout the day. He had a strong car, looked good, but at the end of the day, he got shuffled back. I think he ended up in one of those wrecks, sort of a little bit, got some damage. Ends up finishing in 26th. Not indicative of how he ran all day, but that's the key to these super speedways, Rod. That's the reason you fade a guy that's never started on one before, because it's just very, very tough for it to work out for guys like that. And Sammy Smith was the guy I took over him at minus 125. Sammy Smith comes home in 5th place. Nice, solid super speedway guy. Nice, solid day for him. 5th place finish. And he gets it done there.
Yep. Kvapil got mixed up in that lap 38 incident with Austin Hill. So, yeah, didn't really get an opportunity to see him run all that much. But, yeah, look, again, Kvapil's going to be a man. He's going to be the man for a very long time. So keep an eye on him like that. But definitely Sammy Smith's day. Poor Riley Herbst. I had Riley Herbst over John Hunter Nemechek.
Clear. Oh, not clear. Holy shit. Jesus Christ.
What? I mean.
Oh my God. What? That was a fucking hit. That's one of the hardest hits I can remember seeing in recent memory. Like, the spotter said clear and he was nowhere near clear and just fucked that wall up. I mean, when I saw that window net come down, I was like, thank God, because what a fucking hit at that angle too. We've obviously seen that not turn out good in the past. Like, oh man, there's no way Riley is not fucking sore still today, 2 days later. Oh my God, what a hit.
Yeah, no, and I would think that he's definitely just kind of recuperating for the next couple of days, because that was a hard.
And then
hit.
they got to turn around and go to Daytona this week. Oh man, rough for these guys. Rough.
No rest for the Ricky Bobbies of the world. But yeah, look, John Hunter came in 3rd. He actually led 31 laps in this race. He looked good. I mean, but Riley Herbst, I don't know what could have happened if he would have been able to stay at the front of the field, because that 98 car, I mean, it was good, right? It was good for when it was good, and then it just lost it at the end there. He started on the outside pole, led 4 laps of this race. I thought for sure this was going to be looking really good, because John Hunter started 10th, and it wasn't like he was staying fast. You know, he just made the right moves at the right time to get up where he was at. But I mean, I like I said, I thought this was going to look really good, and it didn't. So unfortunately, Herbst did not finish better than John Hunter.
Yeah, unfortunate there. Andrew checking in. Hey guys, just made it back home from the race. Reddick is the man, and fast pasta. Andrew was at the camping at the track all weekend, so got that extra day. Glad you were able to stay. I know, that doesn't always work out for everybody with work and jobs and having to get home and stuff like that. So glad you were able to stay, take in the full weekend, and get that extra night in the camping there. Hopefully you stayed dry in the process and had a good time. I had a couple of top 5s, Rod. I took Austin Hill top 5 at plus 110, which is, if that's ever offered on a super speedway, you have to do it, because when odds come out for Daytona this week, he's probably going to be plus 110 to win the race. And this was just for a top 5. Also had Clearman top 5 at plus 550. Austin Hill was hanging in there. He was right there when we got that late caution. Oh, I started rubbing my hands together, Rod. Oh boy, here we go. Austin Hill was right there. He's restarting like 6th or 7th. I thought we were going to get the green. He's going to pull down to the inside, shoot up there, have a chance. He did, but nobody went with him, and that was unfortunate. He obviously wrecked earlier in the race, but they fixed things up, and he was fine. He was gonna have a shot at it, but yeah, he just got hung out to fucking dry. Dropped like he had an anchor, much like it happens at super speedway races. Finishing 18th, but not indicative of how he ran for sure. And then Kligerman, 11th place. Look, he's in the mix at the end, plus 550. If we could bet top 10s on Xfinity Series, all right, I had a top 10 on him. Unfortunately, we can't, but that's kind of what you're looking for. Going to be a guy that we're going to circle and look for as we go to Daytona this next weekend, because really good super speedway guy, and you expect another good run out of him. But didn't hit on these, but I feel like they were both pretty solid bets to make.
Yeah, and look, for Kligerman, I feel like that should have been him being able to move up that much. But yeah, that 48 car didn't have it at the end, unfortunately. So yeah, I hate that. I had this one pisses me off because this one should have hit. Lawless Allen over Blaine Perkins. Look, Lawless Allen began the day in 15th place. That's Lawless Allen. Like, who is Lawless Allen? We were just talking about the fact that, this is a guy making his very first Xfinity Series start. He ends up starting in 15th in that 15 car. We're like, all right, because Blaine Perkins, I guarantee you right now, he started in 30th.
I'm blaming this on Mark in the Discord. He literally types in Lawless Allen making Haley Deegan not look so good. Not 2 laps later, just completely fucked up.
Lawless Allen on lap 67. I'm reading it verbatim. Lawless Allen gets loose and collects Jeb Burton and Daniel Dye into the wall around 16th.
You wrecked some people hard on that one.
That was a pretty hard cut. Yeah, Jeb, man, that was because that took out yours too. That took out a Jeb Burton top 5 run.
It sure did, Rod. It sure did.
Anyways, Lawless Allen ends up finishing the race in 35th. But listen, it wasn't as if Blaine Perkins he finished 23rd. That's still, I mean, if Allen would have been able to continue to run in the top 15, this bet would have hit. So I'm still confident this bet was a good one.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that you had thought there, and hey, accidents happening on super speedways. That's how it goes. I had a Jeff Earnhardt top 5, 30-1. It probably never was going to happen. He ends up in 21st. An okay day for him. Whatever. It's kind of how it goes. Long shot. Jeb Burton top 5, 25-1. Much better chance before getting caught up in that Lawless Allen wreck. Still comes back to finish in 16th, even with damage in the car. So who knows what he could have been able to do. 25-1 would have been nice to see. Fast Pasta saves the day. Pretty much helps us break even on the day for my side of the card. But got the top 5, 16-1 for Anthony Alfredo. Oh, I was never sweating harder than I was on those last couple of laps. And overtime there, as he restarts, and then all of a sudden, he's like, you're watching the little ticker, and he's like, and you're like, oh God, don't fall. I thought for sure he's going to finish in 6th place, Rod, because that's usually how it happens. But finishes in 4th place, gets it done. Anthony Alfredo, just a guy that continues to show up, continues to do well, experienced guy. And yeah, 16-1 for the top 5 on him. So he gets it done and helps save the day.
Indeed, yeah. I got a question, Cody. If a guy finishes in 8th place, does he cash a top 5 bet?
1, 2, 3, 8, 5. Yeah, I think so.
Sweet, because Taylor Gray cashes the top. No, he doesn't. Taylor Gray, 8th place. Starts 3rd though, man. Taylor Gray is the real deal, right? That 19 car for Taylor Gray, the real deal. I feel like it's just, man, we're knocking on the door to another good finish for Taylor Gray. Just could not get back up to the front. I was so sad. I wanted that so badly, but yeah, unfortunately, Taylor Gray finishes 8th place. He was running very well all day long. I mean, Taylor Gray was running not always top 5 because of strategy and all that, but he definitely ended stage 2 inside of the top 5. Just was running with the leaders all day long. Unfortunately, the last restart, I think was where he really ended up losing it for good, with Matt DiBenedetto and Noah Gragson jumping up ahead of him. So yeah, I mean, it sucks, but
yeah, I feel like if that last caution wouldn't have come out, I think he would have cashed this for you. So unfortunate, because he was definitely hanging out there all day, and good to see from the young guy. We obviously big shifties here and love Taylor Gray. I tossed out Earnhardt top Toyota, 10-1. it had been 20-1 when I put in the sheet originally, which felt a lot better. I mean, obviously Creed second, Hunter Nemechek in third, and Gray in eighth were the top guys. But again, only 5 in the field. It does turn into a full-blown super speedway race. I don't hate having a 10-1 on a guy to win a group at a super speedway, basically, and a guy that's been good on super speedways before in Earnhardt. So not super upset about that. Top Chevy market went sprinkled in a couple different ways. Hill at plus 330. Again, you won't see a number. It'll probably be minus 330 this weekend at Daytona. SVG at 85-1. Oh boy, when he avoided that wreck early on, things were looking great. And then the speeding penalty just sank his day. He still finished in 17th. Not a bad finish for him after having a green flag speeding penalty. Or was it a restart violation? Is that what it was? I think it was a restart.
Yeah, it was
violation.
a restart violation.
Jumped out of line.
Yep.
Had to serve the penalty there, so that was unfortunate. And then Burton 150-1. Look, after the damage, still recovered for 16th place. Now, plenty of Chevrolets finished ahead of them, obviously, but really, I mean, of all the Chevys in the field, only 3 in the top 8. I mean, you just need more chaos in these types of races, which we could easily see this weekend at Daytona. Another way that we're going to continue to attack at super speedways. So none of these cash, but again, I feel like all 3 of these guys had some solid chances throughout the day and looked good.
I agree. Speaking of looking good, Noah Gragson looking good, being the top Ford on the day, followed very closely. Noah Gragson finishing 6th, good enough for top Ford of the day. What was that? Plus 275. But I tell you, I don't know what Matt DiBenedetto's number for top Ford would have been, but I'm pretty sure that it would have been a hell of a day for that. Matt DiBenedetto finishing 6th as the next Ford, but you got to go all the way down to 13th for Ryan Sieg, and then all the way back down to 23rd for Blaine Perkins as far as the Fords are concerned. Logan Bearden. I said that this was going to be between Riley Herbst and Noah Gragson, right? I essentially said these were going to be the class of the field. I know Sieg was going to factor in there somewhere, but I honestly thought it was going to be Gragson and Herbst, and it was. Honestly, Herbst would have been that top Ford, but he had problems. Sieg had problems. Sieg got caught up in the mix in one of the wrecks, and that left wide open for a guy like Noah Gragson to slide in there in that 30 car. I mean, he didn't get the top 5, which, that's fine, but all he needed to do, I said it too. I don't think I want to put a top 5 on him, but I don't think he's going to get the top 5. So I'll cover it with a top Ford. Exactly the way it went. So thank God for that.
You called it perfectly, Rod. Great call by you. Yeah, that worked out well. Go ahead and copy and paste this next set of bets because I'll be placing these again this weekend at Daytona because they did not cash, but they looked fucking good. Oh, Ryan Sieg was fast again. Looked good on a super speedway yet again. Gets caught up in something again and doesn't get it done. But top 5 at 6-1, top 4 at 12-1, top 3 at 14-1, win at 50-1. I'll likely be on all of these again. Ends up finishing at 13th, but man, he could get it done. We saw it at the end of stage 1, right? Perfect move. Takes the lead there. And then the 81 luckily chose him and pushed him to win that stage. Great run by him there. Awesome for the points battle that he is in there near the cut line, but does get caught up in one of those wrecks or later on in the day. Still recovers for 13th. Yeah, if you're betting him top Ford, what about Riley Herbst? What about Cole Custer? Neither of those guys finished ahead of him. Gragson DiBenedetto did, but he was the 3rd best finishing Ford. Not bad there for a 12-1 number. So these didn't hit, but I can't tell you how much money I have made on Ryan Sieg on super speedways over the years, and I'm going to continue with that train this weekend at Daytona. He will make my card once again, and he's very, very good super speedway racer. So again, right thought process here. Good bets, didn't cash, but that's how it goes.
Indeed. All right, Cody. If a manufacturer finishes 2nd and 3rd, do they cash winning manufacturer bet? I'm going to stop with that joke because that's probably getting old at this point. But no, unfortunately, they do not. I had Toyota as the winning manufacturer. Creed and John Hunter finished 2nd and 3rd. Of course, Justin Allgaier comes away with the win. The one time that I doubt my Justin Allgaier, or don't even doubt, but just stay away from him. This happened. So, look, Creed, no, but he starts on the pole looking good, right? Outstanding. You think this is going to be great. Taylor Gray starts in 3rd. Toyota's looking good all the way through. Fortunately,
And like they actually looked pretty solid throughout the day. I mean, the 81, still not saying his name, he was pretty solid. You had 4 Toyotas in the top 10 in stage 2. I mean, John Hunter, Gray, the 81, Creed, they were all there and throughout the day. There's only 5 of them. That's the biggest hurdle that they had, but only 5 of them, and you get 2 in the top 3. So it's not that you were completely wrong here by any means. TK checking in, back to the Alfredo thing, said that saved him for the weekend. Thanks for the recommendation. And then Cole crashed early, so it was a non-factor, ironically, because of the 98. But that's exactly the handicap on, taking the small manufacturer group and going with bigger numbers. Because, if the 98 crashes early, takes out Cole, and boom, your 2 biggest Fords suddenly out of the race. Now you only have longer shots left in the field, and that helps you out a lot. And it's more likely to happen obviously that could happen anywhere, right? But in a super speedway type of race, more likely to happen where there's more wrecks, bigger wrecks, and more cars don't finish the races. So that's kind of the thought process there. Outrights, Austin Hill 7-1. We talked about him again at a super speedway. You take that 6 ways to Sunday. He'll probably be plus 250 if you're lucky this week. And I'm going to have to talk Rod off of him and get rid of that. So maybe we'll see. I had Jesse Love 14-1. I don't really remember Jesse Love being in this race. Was he in this race, Rod?
He was basically a non-factor. He finished 29th. He started 9th. That was great.
Well, I feel like he got caught up in one of those wrecks. I mean, he was running at the end of the day, but I think he got damaged early on in that first wreck, maybe that Herbst wreck there. So non-factor. Brandon Jones 22-1. Pretty much kind of the same thing. I mean, well, he was second in stage 1, like he was right there with Sieg, and you're like, all right, here we go, Sieg and Jones, but kind of fell off after that. I feel like he had a penalty or something. Or no, he got caught up. He did, he finished 36. So he was also caught up in that early wreck and ended his day. Jeb at 250-1. Look, if he doesn't get that damage early, he's in the mix. And then Rod, we give as long shots for a motherfucking reason. Matt DiBenedetto, 250-1, 7th place. 250-1, and he finished in 7th place. Does that cash? Obviously not. But the thought process is right. He's going to put himself in position at the end. 2 more overtimes, maybe only 1 more overtime. 1 more wreck. Somebody gets squirrely on that last lap. Sheldon Creed's never wrecked anybody before, has he, Rod? All of a sudden, he wrecks the 7. They get into the 20 and take out the 8. And shit, Matt DiBenedetto is right there with a chance to get it done. That's why we give out long shots like this for a reason. Same thing with Jeb Burton. I mean, we didn't get to see it because he got damaged early, but still recovered for a 16th place finish, sort of in the mix. DiBenedetto for a 250-1 bet to finish in 7th place. That's what this type of racing does. That's why you place these types of bets. Again, doesn't cash, right thought process, and you're only a couple more cautions. That's Truex barely touching the wall away from another chance at sorry, Rod. Sorry to bring that up again, Rod, but I had another chance for this to hit. So, unfortunately, none of those hit. Alfredo was the big one on the day that kind of balanced out the card. And again, you take a lot of little sprinkles and you end up hitting one and saving the day, but really close to hitting a few others. And you just hope that going into Daytona this week with the same type of racing, that you end up on the other side of the coin and hit a few of those.
I wish there was a 2nd place bet. I would have put all my money on Sheldon Creed to finish 2nd. I did say that
give us that in F1 sometimes, Rod, to finish 2nd. So, boy, would be nice to have an Xfinity because you probably would have cashed that about 11 times.
Clean house on Sheldon Creed. He was 16-1, and look, honestly, 16-1 when all like Hills were 7-1. I think Allgaier and all them, they were way shorter odds. This was the bet to make, and this should have been the one to do. But I mean, Justin Allgaier just way too strong, right? I mean, there was no hope for Creed to win this race. He looked good. He started right there on the pole. We thought this was going to be his week, but then we remembered, it's Sheldon Creed. It's not going to be his week. So
he's got one coming, Rod. It's like the thing with Creed is like betting him at 16-1 is not a bad bet because he's going to fucking be at the top 2 at the end of the day. Like at some point, it's going to flip, and this is not a Daniel Hemrick. It's sort of looking like a Daniel Hemrick situation, but But Sheldon Creed has won multiple times in the Truck Series. He's a champion in the Truck Series. Like, he is actually a really good race car driver in a good car. Just can't seem to quite catch the break. But 16-1 for a guy that continues to finish in second place, eventually he's going to get there. We've seen this with Dale Jarrett, obviously, in the series. With, I don't remember who else is tied on. Is it Hamrick that was tied on that list with them that they keep showing on NBC? I think it might have been. But like, even in the Cup Series, like Casey Kane, Chase Elliott, Bill Elliott, like some of these guys just second, and then finally they get it done and they're able to start winning. And obviously we saw it with Dale Jarrett, not so much with Daniel Emmerich, but most of these guys, once they finally get there, they continue to do it. And that's why I think that Sheldon Creed's a really good bet. I don't know what his, I don't think numbers are back up for championship yet, but I've been harping on placing his championship bet at a bigger number because he's gonna be close and he might be able to get it done.
Someday he will be able to get it done. All right. Well then, let us put a bow in Michigan and turn our attention to the Daytona International Speedway for the second race of the season. Back-to-back super speedways for Xfinity. Another weekend of super speedway racing for everybody. But yeah, this is gonna be a long time, a lot of fun. I don't know how to end the show. It's been a long weekend already, and it got longer. But yeah, so we're gonna have a lot of fun breaking down another super speedway race. This time the traditional style for the Cup Series and for the Xfinity Series. But yeah, so that's it. That's it for Michigan. That's it for our bets. We have to sleep now. Wait for the books to come out with the numbers. Will they come out with numbers on Tuesday, do you think?
They should. So generally on the Monday races, I mean, it still ends fairly early. They should still trickle out on time. So TBD, obviously, you'll have to stay tuned because, and see how it goes. We may end up having to push shows back. May have to record later tomorrow, just kind of depending on how things go. But let's see. TK was wondering, is SVG no longer the playoff points leader right now? It depends on what fucking sheet you look at.
Yeah,
I
see him.
Technically, he's the only full-time guy with 3 wins, so that like puts him at the top. But if you look at the actual like playoff standings, like Justin Allgaier's earned more playoff points this year, and then based on where like Allgaier's second in this playoff or in the regular season standings, so Allgaier would be ahead of him, if the playoffs were to start today, as they would say, as would some other drivers, because SVG's is only 12th in the regular season standings. But so he's going to show on top of the playoff grids because he's got more wins than everybody else. But it's so like, and it all depends on which source you look at and how they decide to display it. But he is the leader in wins, so that technically puts him atop the board for now, even though points wise, not really.
Yeah, I mean, again, it's all.
Can we just figure out one way to spice this and not 8 different ways? But that'd be too easy.
No. All right, Cody. Let's go ahead and ride off into the sunset and get ready for a fun Daytona weekend to come.
Oh, I love betting on super speedways, Rod. I'm excited. Trucks, by the way, I think are Milwaukee Mile this weekend, so we will have a different little set of bets for them, as it'll be another short track, so that'll be a lot of fun. But going to be an exciting week. Daytona. Look, it's coming down to playoff time, friends. We're here, so you love to see it. But yeah, we'll see you this week for all the pick shows and DFS later on in the week. Of course, follow me in the meantime, Rod, at Husker_Zeeb. You can find all my stuff over there. PLL playoffs start this week. I'll have picks for that. Bunch of NFL stuff in the queue, ready to come out any day. So get ready for that. F1 returns this weekend. I'm pretty sure it is this weekend. So F1 Gambling Podcast will be back. Make sure you check that out. I'll have an article as well. Cup Series article also. A lot of stuff. Busy week. Excited and ready to go. And we'll see you tomorrow, Rob.
Yes, we will. See you tomorrow. In the meantime, follow me on Twitter at RJ Villagomez. Link in about everything I've got going on. NFL stuff coming up too as well. So make sure you're checking out that from my sites. All right. We'll see you tomorrow. Hopefully, I guess. We'll see you next time with some Daytona Cup Series picks. So until then, ladies and gentlemen, let's go racing and let it ride.
Little sweet as velvet.